Afternoon, all board officers and members of Sonta Club of Makati Environs. Um, we have here with us Evonne whom we saw first when she was being interviewed by Mikey Oreta. Evonne is a work-at-home mom of 3 kids. She is the managing partner of Grapevine Asia boutique risk consultancy specializing in due diligence and corporate investigations in China, and is also in charge of the urban agriculture business of her husband's company, Next Gen Asia.
Inalis ko.
Pakimute nga, maingay yung ano. Next Gen Asia is the exclusive distributor of Vegepod in the Philippines. Aside from this, Next Gen Asia is also engaged in the following services: security and safety solutions, professional cleaning, IT and communications technology, engineering, manpower and recruitment, global supply chain, as well as real estate. What Evonne is going to show us is something that I saw when she had a demonstration on TV of a way of trying to raise vegetables in condos or in small places where you don't have to have a big plot where to plant the vegetables you will eat, so that it's always safe from any of the other elements. Since we are in the subject matter of plants and trees, the last time when we had our first guest, we would like to follow up with the talk of Evonne on what product she is going to explain to us, which might be very useful to most of us who are, especially those who are living in a condominium and want to have their own vegetables. I'd like to hear from you, Ms. Evonne. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Evonne, yes.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Pineda, for the introduction. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Can everyone hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I prepared a PowerPoint presentation, but before we start, I think I want to give a quick background on the situation since the COVID pandemic started here in the Philippines, in Manila. So because of the pandemic, access to food and has been limited, and you have to rely on mostly, online sellers or delivery guys to deliver food to you. And so the concern for safety and supply of food increased drastically. And so for us, because we are in the urban agriculture business, we find that many has gone into growing their own food, or at least trying to learn how to grow their own food. And because, of the quarantine situation, a lot of people have been stuck at home, and they have been looking for things that they want to do or to keep them busy. So the interest in urban agriculture has really increased. And we really advocate this because, if you grow your own food, not only are you growing clean food, you are sure that you have supply. And it's also a way to relieve stress. It's proven that gardening helps relieve stress. It keeps your mind, away from bad about what's happening right now. So I'm not sure if a lot of you or how many of you have experience in growing your own food, but I want to start by showing a video of common experiences versus what our product could do. So, Jay, if you can play the video, please.
Yes, please. Australians love gardening and growing their food. That doesn't mean we love the feeling of being beaten by the pests, the elements, or by products that aren't up to the task. Vegepod is a multi-award-winning, fully contained, self-watering garden bed, and it's Australian. Where other garden beds and pots leave your plants exposed to all types of weather, grubs, weeds, and contaminants, Vegepod's farm-grade mesh canopy protects your veggies, while the self-watering reservoirs below combine with the mist irrigation above to promote amazing growth rates. Vegepod. It's everything Australians love about gardening and nothing we don't. View the entire range at vegepod.com.au and start growing your food today.
Okay. The video was lagging on my end, so I'm not sure if you all saw. Wait. We can move to the next slide na lang para I can show the different. Yeah. Okay. So as you heard from the video, the product is from Australia. They have a huge gardening culture there. So this company has been around since 2009. But here in the Philippines, we started Vegepod just September of last year. As Mrs. Pineda said in the introduction, we are the exclusive distributor of this product here in the Philippines. And to give you a quick overview of how this makes gardening easier for urban dwellers, number one, it's a container. So if you don't have a garden or if you don't have access to, plot of land or soil in your backyard, then this makes it possible, makes gardening possible. All you got to do is purchase soil from gardening centers, put it in the container, and you could grow any type of vegetables from seed or seedlings. And you can see, let's go through the benefits of the Vegepod one by one. And so we start with the top, the cover. So a lot of the problems urban gardeners face here in is usually, the harsh weather elements and pests. So whether it's too hot or it's too windy, or if there's a storm, or if it's raining every single day, your plants are vulnerable. So what the cover does is it protects your plants from all those harsh weather elements. And it also protects your plants from pests and animals. So, if you leave your pots exposed, they'll be prone to pests, prone to, say, stray cats going into your garden, or if you have pets at home, or like birds flying and eating, your produce before you get to harvest them. So this protects your plants from that. The second thing is there's a mist spray. So you just need to connect a hose to the mist spray system and turn on the faucet, and you don't even have to open the cover to water your vegetables. So it makes it very convenient. And, if because of the mist spray, it's very fine mist. You don't destroy your plants from heavy water drops. And you could just set like 2-3 minutes every day to water your plants. Another benefit of the cover is because it's closed, it filters out like 17% of the sun, and the rest it keeps the climate inside the pod warm, which makes your plants grow faster than normal. So if you see, vegetables planted in a normal container versus Vegepod, the growth rate is at least 50% more. Next, you go to the pod itself. So the pod is made of 100% food safe plastic. A lot of the pots that you get are made from recycled plastics that, some are even not guaranteed to be toxic free. At least from our experience, the Vegepod, because it's 100% food safe and it's UV stabilized, you're guaranteed that there's no contaminations into your food, and it's gonna last longer than the normal garden pots because they tend to get crispy after sun exposure. Vegepod, we've had pods in Australia for 10 years already, and they're still okay. The next benefit is, the container is 1 foot deep. So you're able to grow even root crops like carrots, potatoes, ginger, because it's deep enough. And as you'll see in the picture that there's a watering system under. So there's a water reservoir there. So it saves a lot of water because whatever the soil or your plant doesn't absorb, it goes into that water reservoir. And what that does is, even if you don't water your plants every single day, the plants have a source of water under. And it also encourages your plants to grow bigger because like the roots have to reach down to get the water. So, roots in plants. And this is good for, especially if you travel a lot of, well, not now, but if you do travel, like if you leave your plants for a week or two, they're going to be okay because there's a water reservoir under. And there's also an overflow hole. So if you accidentally water too much, or if it's raining, then the water will just go out of the overflow hole, so your plants will not drown. And the last benefit is we have the stands or the trolleys that go with the pod. It's optional because you could put the pod on the ground or at the table, or if you want to make your own stand. But to make it convenient, we have the stand. So you don't even have to kneel down or bend when you garden. So it's very senior friendly. And we have the trolley option also. So if you want to move your pod to another place when, say, you need the space to hold a party or something, we have that as well. So that summarizes the benefits of Vegepod. Then we move to the next slide. I'll show you the different sizes. Yeah, there. So like Mrs. Pineda mentioned, we have a solution for people who have, that's the small one. So the smallest one on the right side, those are usually used if you have limited space. It's only half a square meter in size. So if you live in a condo, you can put it in a balcony, as long as that's gonna be fine. But then we also have the medium and the large size. So actually here in Manila, the medium and the large sell more than the small, because a lot of our customers, they do have space, but they don't have garden. Sometimes it's paved in concrete, or their garden is already it has decorative plants or trees, so they don't have a ready space for growing vegetables. So we have the medium and the large. The large is 2 square meters. It's big enough to fit more than 10 kinds of vegetables. And like I said, that's the one that actually sells a lot here in Manila. Then next. Yeah, next slide, please. Okay, so assuming you are interested in getting a pod, these are the main things before you do get them. One is you have to have a space that gets sunlight, because vegetables don't grow well without getting enough sun, unless you want to install, grow lights, which can be done, but it's just, it's not what Vegepod was made for. So we need sunlight as much as possible, unless you're going to grow vegetables that don't require that much sun. And soil, yes. So the Vegepod doesn't come with the soil, so you need to get soil from gardening centers. The good thing is becoming more common now for the agriculture companies. There's more choices now than before. And third, seed or seedlings. So like I mentioned, you can plant any kind of vegetables in the Vegepod as long as it grows in our climate. Like you can't grow broccoli, for example, because those are considered, you know, they grow better in colder climate. The height should not exceed 70 centimeters, which is the height of the cover. And I mentioned, yes, you can mix and match the vegetables inside the pod as long as you follow what the spacing requirement is for each kind of vegetable. So some are okay to grow in crowded areas. Some need space so they can grow more, like say tomatoes, because they climb, so it tends to take up more space. Just based on experience from our users, the most common vegetables that they grow are leafy greens. So these are vegetables like spinach, lettuce, kangkong, arugula, and also if you want to start with, you know, herb seedlings, that's fine too. That's very easy to source right now. That's fine. Okay, the next, just going to show you some pictures of our, yeah, next slide. And so we have been fortunate enough to get some celebrities who love the Vegepod. So Mrs. Daphne Osenia Paez, Cheska Kramer, and Julian Santos. They all have at least one large Vegepod. Actually, Julian, I think, now has more than 5. And they've been, like you can see in the pictures, they grow leafy greens and they've been pretty successful. You know, I have to be honest, like we didn't pay them for advertising. They got the pod and they loved it, so they posted it in their social media. And yeah, so it's just a good testament to, you know, like Vegepod does work. And next slide, the last slide, is basically pictures of some other Vegepod owners. Yeah, so these are pictures of their pod. The one in the lower left corner, that's someone who converted their pod into an indoor system. So they were able to grow lettuce by using grow lights and just, I think it's hydroponics actually. They didn't even use soil. So just water, the nutrients, and grow lights. So you could do that actually. But it just require more care because you have to feed the plants more regularly than if they grow in soil. Next, I think. Yeah. So thank you for inviting me to speak. I can now entertain any questions that you have. Yeah, and my contact numbers are there, so. Yep.
Okay. I would like to know how much will they cost? The
So,
or what?
Yeah. So starting from the small one, the pod itself, like without the stand, it's 7,900 for the small, uh, 11,900 for the medium, and 15,900 for the large. And then with the stand range from 3,000 to for the small, 3,500 for the medium, and 7,000 for the large.
Is this a no-brainer? You know, like I have no green thumb, and is it like easy to take care of?
Um, it definitely solves a lot of the issues that a new urban gardener would face. So, you know, you take out at least 50% of the things that you have to be concerned about. But that being said, you still have to take care of your plants. Like you can't just, you know, put soil and seeds and let them be. You still have to take care of them every day. Well, not every day. At least look after them, you know, a couple of times a week. And then it gets trickier if you grow, you know, depending on the kind of vegetable that you're going to grow. Like I said, leafy vegetables, they're easier to grow. But if you're going to grow, say, tomatoes or basta fruiting ones, um, they have specific requirements, like nutrient requirements. So you have to look for fertilizers, or like, you know, it's putting banana peels, eggshells. Like you just have to study on how to grow them more than the leafy greens.
Thank you.
Is more
Evonne,
above
Yes.
high rise.
I was out for about maybe 5 minutes. I don't know. I was cut. My question is, I don't know if this was already discussed. My question is, for example, the 11,000, I think that's the medium size.
Yes.
Do you have an idea like how many kilos at any given time or harvesting that, like say for a romaine lettuce, it will grow?
I don't know in terms of kilos. But kasi like lettuce, if it's hot, like now it's getting colder, but if it stays this at this temperature, it would take at least 50 days before you can harvest. So, but in one medium pod, you could grow at least 20, 30 heads of lettuce. So what we suggest, like if you're just gonna dedicate the pod for lettuce, you just stagger. So you stagger the sowing of the seeds, so you don't harvest all at the same time.
Okay, that was my example, the lettuce romaine, because me and my husband, we drink veggie shake every morning. And the main ingredient is the romaine lettuce. Yeah, so, okay, I think I got the answer. Thank you.
I sent you a private question, Evonne.
Wait. There. Wait. What are the main things to consider? Is that the question?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So like I said, you need to get to find a space that gets enough sunlight. A morning sun is best, ideal. But if you don't, then afternoon sun is also okay. But at least 6 hours of sunlight is optimum for plants to grow well. If not, then you have to grow, you know, herbs that don't require as much sun. So number one is sunlight. Number two is, you know, you have to get good soil. Like I mentioned, it's easier to get supply now since urban agriculture has been peaking up since 2 months ago, I think. Yun lang naman. And then the others, it's more of, you make sure that you spend some time doing research on what vegetables grow in the season, how to take care of them, what hello? Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Sorry, I'm hearing myself. Yeah, and that's mostly it. The others like watering, because if there's a built-in mist spray, but you have to plug in a hose. So ideally, you put the Vegepod in a space where you can easily connect a hose to. But if it's like a balcony that doesn't have, a water supply, then it's fine. You just have to water manually instead of using the mist spray.
Thank you. Oh, one more.
Yes. What's the easiest edible to grow? Leafy greens. So far, we've had a lot of feedback that leafy greens like pechay, spinach, arugula are the easiest. Lettuce actually should be pretty easy in a pod, but because the weather has been erratic, like I think in June it was still very hot, so it takes a long time to grow. And then now it's rainy, it's okay, but then you have to be more careful, like make sure that they don't get overwatered. But yeah, leafy greens in general are easier, and the nutrient requirements are even. So even if in one pod you mix a lot of leafy greens, they share the same soil, that's fine. But if you're gonna say mix a leafy green with a tomato, then you have to add more nutrients to the tomatoes. Yeah.
Thank you, Evonne.
Welcome.
Okay. Are there any more questions? Does anybody have any more questions? Am I missing somebody?
Yeah, this will only apply to probably a high-rise condominiums where they don't have or side, where they're cemented.
Yeah, the small one is perfect for condominiums because, like I said, space is limited. But the medium and the large, it can be put in, backyards, any idle space you have, as long as it gets sunlight, is fine. So far, I would say medium and large move better. We have more people buying the large ones than the small ones because they do have space. It's just that it's not suitable for gardening. So if it's a rooftop or if you already paved your driveway, so no more garden, then this would be perfect also. I cannot hear.
Okay.
You can put it anywhere and the place will still be clean.
Yeah.
Because it's in a receptacle,
Yes.
So are there any more
Yes, one
any more
question.
questions?
Vivian, just one more question from
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Evonne, how do you know that you're overwatering or underwatering? Like you touch the soil? Because I live in a condo, so I have a little garden in the balcony, but I have the afternoon sun.
Yeah.
But I have succulents, which I take care of, and I water them twice a week. In the case of vegetables, how do you know that you're overwatering them? You're drowning them or you're starving them? And what's the measure?
Usually they will tell you. So if there's a change in color or their structure,
really?
so
Uh-oh.
like the vegetables, if the leaves start to turn yellow, it means you're overwatering.
Okay.
Yeah, and if the leaves are drooping, it means you're underwatering, like they're not getting enough water. Um, so they would tell you. The soil, of course, touching it is a good indicator. Like if you insert your finger into the
Yeah,
soil,
that's what I do. Yeah. It's the
yeah, you can
easiest way.
feel if it's wet or just moist. What's good about the Vegepod is there's wicking bed under. So any excess water will flow out. But if not, as long as there's water inside, there's a wicking bed that keeps your soil moist because it sucks the water from the reservoir and then it moves it up to where your soil is.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, so
That helps.
as long as the plant is big enough, like the roots can reach the bottom, you're gonna be okay. But of course, like if you're planting, say, starting from seeds, wala pa silang roots to reach the water reservoir. You just have to be more careful with, watering, just making sure the top of the soil stays moist.
Oh, yeah, another question: how deep do the seeds go? Or you just like in the movies, you just throw the seeds in the fields and then
It depends on the vegetable because some have really small seeds, so only a millimeter into the soil. But the
okay.
bigger seeds, I think a centimeter, you plant it 1 centimeter deep. So it really depends. But yeah, you don't want it to sink too deep into the soil because they
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to get the sunlight to grow better.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So afternoon sun is okay because I have no choice. I'm facing
Yes.
the sunset. I get great, beautiful sunsets. But is it okay to grow vegetable garden in the
Yes.
afternoon sun?
It's fine. It's really okay. They always just say the morning sun is just friendlier to vegetables, but actually
Yeah.
afternoon sun is fine as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So, Marites,
Okay.
we're done with that already.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. That's
So-
great.
And then Vivian, you tell them, Evonne, we're inviting you to join our club if you're interested.
Yes,
That's why
sure.
she's staying on and
Yeah.
watching the meeting. All
She will
right.
observe. She will observe.
Yes.
Okay.